welcome to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. My name is Omar Pinto, the host of the Share Podcast and a founding member of the SRC, the Share Recovery Community. In the SRC, we have a number of live online recovery meetings every week on a number of different topics. This podcast is only one example of the content provided to our members. In this meeting, a chapter of the Tao Te Ching is discussed every week as to how it relates to recovery. I hope you enjoy this week's podcast episode.
Hello, this is Buddy C. This is the April 16th, 2020 Tao Te Ching meeting for the Share Recovery Community. We have Lala and Kate and Mira and Marla and Tina, Rob, and I think we have Marla.
Yes.
Did Larry have the webcam covered again?
Yes.
Okay. And Paul and Craig. Glad to have everyone today. How is everyone faring things? Everyone still being restored to sanity, or maybe not quite as insane, or?
I'm actually enjoying myself. I think this is kind of me getting ready for retirement. This is what retirement must look like for some people. Just getting up in the morning and thinking, what am I going to do today? I can't go anywhere. What am I going to do?
Yeah, I had to put the day of the week on my clock on my computer because I kept forgetting which day it was. That's awful.
They're all melding into each other.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that the weather's changing here in Michigan, because if I didn't have the outside to go to, it would. Mm-hmm. I think the four walls would start to close in. But we're surviving.
Myself, we were out in the garden yesterday. We were out in the garden yesterday and with some blankets down, and we had a picnic outside, and then he was watching his Kindle and I was reading mine, and I was lying with one arm there and one arm there, and I was kind of resting my head in the arm at the top, and the arm at the top got sunburnt, and the other one's just still Casper white. You can almost see through it, but the other one got sunburnt. We've had brilliant weather. We've had great weather recently, so.
That's great. It makes a difference.
I tell you what, I have to get up every day and stay, work on my spiritual fitness and have some kind of routine. If I don't, then, I can just get in my head about this, and it can get scary when I start all that, Yeah.
Absolutely. This is this Thursday morning meeting is part of a ritual, but definitely had to do some different things to stay on track.
Yeah. It's so important. I was talking to a sponsee yesterday. I said, you got to put in your time to wake up spiritually every day. I said, you do that personally. You go get your cup of coffee. You do whatever your routine is. You do that every day, no matter what time you get up or what's going on. You got to wake up, whatever that is. I said, you need to wake up spiritually too, And so what is it that wakes you up spiritually for the day? Is it, whatever it is, you need to be doing it. Yeah. Craig?
The Admiral McRaven commencement speech came up on my Facebook feed yesterday, and that's one where he says, if you want to change the world, start by making your bed. I find that's a great inspiration during this, because I do think it's far too easy to become complacent in everything that you're doing. Not just spirituality and working your program, but there can be sometimes you just think, I'm going to lie in my bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do anything at all. It's kind of different because we've got Callum on the go, so he comes through in the morning anyway, and we've kind of got a routine going. We've got one of the guys does a PE session between 9 o'clock and 9:30, so we've kind of integrated that. And Louise is back to work today as well, so she's working from home. I think staying in that routine's been. I think I would have went madder by now. If I didn't have that, if I didn't have those routines going. I've actually taken another couple of sponsees as well, because I find
me too.
I've got all this extra free time that, I'm as well giving it to somebody. I'm as well making use of it, the best of it, rather than sitting feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah, we did. We started this 9 p.m. Eastern meeting every day, and we're still doing it. And we're on week 3 or 4. They're all running together, but it's every night. And so I've got 2 guys helping me chair, so we rotate the chairing, so it's not the buddy show, which is good. But I'm always there helping. And we had one guy with 3 days that showed up, one guy with 7. I mean, and so they're staying sober through this, and they're using this meeting. Got a lot of good people. It's just God doing for us the body coming together in a different way, Rob, hold up. I'll unmute you.
I got it.
Okay.
Part of my routine is not to get stuck in the news, and I don't know who I talked to earlier. I don't know if it was this group, but I had to turn off the regular news, and I've discovered a real gem. There's the guy from The Office, John Krasinski. He has a little thing that he just did from his house called Some Good News, SGN Network. It's incredible. It's all positive, good stuff from this. And I just stick John Hopkins, New England Journal of Medicine, and CDC. That's my only source. I don't look at feeds and comments from Facebook, that people pass along. None of that. I don't turn on the regular networks. I hope they go out of business, to be honest with you. And that's kept my sanity, and that is part of my routine. And once I started that helped a lot of the train wreck in the head. That stopped a lot of it cold, because there's a lot of good stuff. And then finally, if you haven't heard Omar's podcast, the one this week from the rabbi, and I apologize, I forget his name, but that is
Rabbi Jacobson.
Yeah, that is so powerful on just the healing and the course correction and the spiritual wake up. Because when it comes right down to it, we're soul beings and we're all connected. And whatever you believe, whatever, the details of your faith, at the core of it, we are just soul beings, little fires that are pointing towards heaven. One of the few things that defy gravity as far as how we look. And we just need to look up into each other and change, quit being so narcissistic. And I'm speaking of myself as much. I'm not speaking to other people, but I'm just excited about this time. It's early morning. I just woke up and I'm already feeling spiritual. So I appreciate this group and this opportunity that we have in these crazy times. It really is, but I think we're going to come out on the other side better people.
The 77th chapter of the Tao Te Ching. Kate, would you like to read today, ma'am?
I would. First translation. The Tao of heaven is like the bending of a bow. The high is lowered and the low is raised. If the string is too long, it is shortened. If there is not enough, it is made longer. The Tao of heaven is to take from those who have too much and give to those who do not have enough. Man's way is different. He takes from those who do not have enough and gives to those who already have too much. What man has more than enough and gives to the world? Only the man of Tao. Therefore, the sage works without recognition. He achieves what has to be done without dwelling on it. He does not try to show his knowledge. Second translation. As it acts in the world, the Tao is like the bending of a bow. The top is bent downward, the bottom is bent up. It adjusts excess and deficiency so that there is a perfect balance. It takes from what is too much and gives to what isn't enough. Those who try to control, who use force to protect their power, go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those who do not have enough and give to those who have far too much. The master can keep giving because there is no end to her wealth. She acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and doesn't think that she is better than anyone else. Third translation. The Tao of heaven works in the world like the drawing of a bow. The top is bent downward, the bottom is bent up. The excess is taken from, and the deficient is given to. The Tao works to use the excess and gives to that which is depleted. The way of people is to take from the depleted and give to those who already have an excess. Who is able to give to the needy from their excess? Only someone who is following the way of the Tao. This is why the Master gives expecting nothing in return. She does not dwell on her past accomplishments and does not glory in any praise. Final translation. Lao Tzu said using Tao was like pulling on a bowstring. The top bends down, the bottom bends up, and all the energy is focused in the middle. Tao takes energy from where it is and sends it where it needs to be. But most people take from those who don't have enough, so those who have too much already can have more. So who in this world is truly generous to others? People who are in touch with Tao. They do their work without taking credit. They get the job done and move on. They aren't interested in showing off.
Thank you, Miss Kate. Comments?
I'll jump in. Third or fourth time I read through that, it points out my own flaws in that do I give away what I don't need and expect nothing? And it points those out to me pretty clearly. And whether I'm doing that or not, I need to look at that in order to live the way of the Tao. That's a pretty important one.
Do we have any archers here? I watched a YouTube video on archery, beginner archery, just to get an idea of what he might be talking about with a bow.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
Well, I got a good bit out of the video I watched because it was talking about how that to properly shoot a bow, it takes the force from both ends and centers the force. And you have to have balance between both the top and the bottom. You can't pull the string higher, up too high. You got to be in the center, or too low. And and you have to have the right amount of tension and all those things. And I couldn't help but think about this as being an example of Wu Wei and this balance and effortless effort that we're looking for. And how giving us an example of how we can be in that place of balance, that place of ease. And I think the master is and when we get out of that balance is like where they talk about those who try to control, who use force to protect their power. You're out of balance when you're doing that. Go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those who don't have enough and give to those who have far too much. And the way that we stay, it says the master can keep giving because there's no end to her wealth. Well, I can't be talking about money because there's always an end to money, no matter how much money you have, in my thinking. So, granted, we have to, be generous with what we have money-wise, but it may be talking about something more of more value than our physical wealth. In my thinking, says she acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit. See, taking credit is excess. And doesn't think that she is better than anyone else. And Stephen Mitchell says that she is transparent. So for me, that is an example of how I can be in that place of ease and center, maximizing everything. And my actions should be ones of giving, ones without expectations, without the pride and ego that's associated with credit taking and collecting credit, trophy collecting, and doesn't think that I'm better than anyone else. So you've got that whole pride part of that too, and that better than mentality. Giving, expecting nothing in return, does not dwell in past accomplishments, and does not glory in praise, aren't interested in showing off, works without recognition, achieves what has to be done without dwelling on it, does not try to show his knowledge. Wow. I just see people pop up in my head when I read that, But that's the way we stay in balance. I think that humility is a big part of that. How we stay in balance with this. I was thinking about what excesses that I have that I can give. Time, money, love, kindness. Can I be an instrument of giving, of increasing? And then what's detracting from that for me? My fear, my anger, my resentment, those things that... No,
I kind of think of this as like it's physically stretching that bow when it's overstretched.
Yeah.
Like I felt kind of guilty the other day canceling a not solid plan, but kind of a plan I had with a friend who's going through a lot. Just has to put one of her animals down, going through a breakup, stuff with work, just all that. And I've really been there for her, but Tuesday, I was like not going to be available till 7 at night. I'm a morning person. And she was even going to come my way at first. And, then she didn't want to come to my house. And then I was like, yeah, I probably won't make it out there till Friday. And she goes, well, whatever. I think she was making bibimbap. So she's like, oh, the meat, even though I don't eat meat, won't keep. And it won't last. And I said, yeah, I'm not going to keep tonight either. Like, I don't have anything to give tonight. By the time I get out to you, I'm going to so half-ass being a friend to you. Like, and I almost wrote back and, later and said, I'm sorry I didn't make it out. But I was like, no, like, I didn't have anything to give, and I've done that. I've been such a people pleaser in the past for overcompensating from drinking and being an asshole that I've always overgiven and then, gotten either resentful or half-assed it, and it wasn't a good experience or a very positive experience. So I just kind of picture that bow being stretched beyond where it's supposed to stretch, other than that exact equal balanced point, and trying to live in that balance. If I've got it to give, I give it. If I don't want to show up, because you're not going to get a pretty picture. Like if I'm not in the mood to deal with my mom's crap, I got to put the blinders on till I'm ready to, be giving. So I don't know. I think that visual picture of the bow it's balance. It's balance. Give when you can, and give yourself some slack when you can't.
Good. Thanks, Lala.
Yeah, I totally am with you on that. Being unable to give to somebody when they need it and you just don't have it, you're depleted. I got to take care of me first, and it's about boundaries and how much. I used to be a doormat. That's all about giving. There was no balance there when you're a doormat.
Yeah, and I fight after drinking because, like I said, I was constantly making up for being fucking up. I was constantly like, let me buy this, let me do this, let you do this to me because, I made such an ass out of myself last night. It's like the more time that I get away from doing those things, the more I can reclaim the people pleasing.
I think he's really talking about taking it up a level, though, to where we really have that if we can get to this place in our giving that it's free of expectation, free of motive, free of hooks. You know what I mean when I say a hook? When I love you with a hook, I'm wanting something back, no hooks, no hooks. And I mean, I try at that, but even now still I find myself hooking, So no, buddy, you can't do that. You can't expect something out of them because of what you did. You can't expect that. Kate, you have something to do?
So I guess when I think about this, I kind of think about it kind of being based in my own insecurity. Like, I guess I'm kind of thinking about the they aren't interested in showing off line in it, and the balance in that, because when I'm doing that, I'm kind of putting myself above or below. I'm kind of putting myself above other people because I'm trying to make myself look better than them. But it's really because I'm feeling below them.
Yes.
It's because I feel like in my heart, I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. So I'm trying to make myself look better. So I think it is based in fear, like you were saying earlier. And so it's like that thing of trying to get to the middle of the bow again. Like trying to get myself to the point where I don't feel like I have to show off to anybody, right. Where I feel equal to everybody, because we are all equal. And I think that's I was thinking that's part of recovery. Like, we are all equal with each other in recovery. We're all on the same level because we're all addicts and alcoholics.
Yeah.
And that's something that recovery brings to me, that we're all on the same level. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking about.
Yeah, that we're using force to protect. That can be positive or negative. Let me get Paul in real quick. Paul, I know you got to go.
Yeah, I always write down some keywords when Kate does her reading. And today I wrote down 3 words from this chapter that came into my head. The first one I think Buddy touched on is modesty, setting aside the ego, which is something I have to do every day. The second thing is one Lala talked about was balance. That was my second word. And she did a good job of explaining that, so I won't go into that. But now the third one is moderation. Popped into my head just because when I was in my active addiction, I had no clue what moderation meant. I did everything balls to the wall, my drinking, my work, everything else. There was no moderation, and therefore there was no balance in my life. And so over the last 10 years, I've really, really tried to work on all those things. And I think it's all tied together. It's all the stuff we always talk about here. And I think that's what really came to mind in this chapter. So, but thanks, guys. I do got to run. So
thanks, Paul. It's amazing to me. The Tao Te Ching is like a sculpture to me. And every one of these chapters is like we look at a little different angle with a little different light, and you're on the other side and I'm on this side, and I see one thing and you see something different, that kind of a thing. Yeah, it's good stuff. Tina, you have something?
The theme that keeps sticking out to me, and it's probably just because it's a reoccurring theme, it seems like this past year, is how the ego swings both ways in terms of woe is me. Mm-hmm. And that deficiency also will throw off balance. And I think I'm just really honed in on it. The first time I heard it, when I first came into recovery, 6 years ago, that I didn't realize that was the ego too. That, oh man, when I hear people say, hi, I'm Tina, I'm an alcoholic. I'm really an alcoholic. Like, I think I resonate with that because that's how I feel. But I'm like, what makes me more alcoholic than the next person? But I used to really be like, yeah, me too. I'm really got a lot of character defects. You guys don't even know. And yeah, I think I was thinking I was being humble, and I was being like, but it was just the other opposite of the
pride in reverse.
Probably because I didn't feel here. I mean, none of us probably really feel here. It's like Kate said, we overcompensate. So but we're really feeling here. And so that's where I was thinking of with that bow, about, it being not pulled tight enough. And
I was also thinking with that pulling of the bow, how when I'm challenged to give or challenged when I know it's affecting my ego and my pride, and I'm that stretching that happens, and I don't want to be stretched. That's the thing. If I'm in the center, I'm there so I can be stretched. That's the whole point. Is so I can be of use. So that was my thinking was, man, I'm being stretched. That's what I'm designed to be. I'm designed to be used. I'm designed to be stretched like this. I'm designed to give. So how about this idea? Why do y'all think that there's no end to the wealth of the master? It says the master can keep giving because there is no end to her wealth. I was thinking of any ideas, Marla?
You were asking, what do we think this means?
Yeah, no end to her wealth. It says there's no end to it.
They're not talking about money. They're talking about a wealth of your soul, a wealth of giving, your depth of the well inside of each of us. It has nothing to do with money whatsoever.
Yeah, but we can get to that point in our giving that we know that goes back to the humility that we're not the source of any of that. If we think we're the source, then there is an end to it.
So you're talking about the wealth of the universe?
I'm talking about what we have to give, our love, our, recovery, whatever it is that we're in a place of giving, that if we've come to an end of what we have, it may be good to look at what we're giving and why we're giving it. What I'm saying is anytime that we feel we're at an end, and I get there too, there is a source available to us if we can just take a step back and look at what's going on, and we may need to adjust what we're doing or why we're doing it, because that may have something to do with the reason that it's stressing us in some way. Craig?
Okay, right. So I was going to go down the same line as Marla went. I think if we have an abundance of space within ourselves to give to people, if we're constantly letting go of things and not succumbing to our fears, if we're constantly doing a step 6 and step 7, humbly asking that our defects of characters are being removed so that we have space for people, not giving into our fears, embracing love, coming at everybody from a place of love, and recognizing that when we do have aspects of fear coming into our lives, then we pay duty for it. We pray about it, we talk to somebody about it, and we help somebody. We get out of our own ways. I think when we do start to get back into the old habits, then I do tend to have less space for other people. I don't have more time for anybody else. I don't have the patience, the love, the tolerance for anybody else, because I kind of see it as they're interfering with my way of living. I think going with the essence of the Tao is not resistant, not taking, just given as you have it, and recognizing where abundance comes in.
And Craig, to what Lala said earlier, there's a balance with that where we learn when to say no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We learn when, that might look like something I need to be doing, but maybe I don't need to do that.
Yep. I typed in
learning that intuitive voice that can really show us what we need to be doing and when. I told a sponsee yesterday, I said, listen, you have an opportunity. You're at home. Nobody's messing with you. You have nothing you have to do. I said, why don't you meditate a little this morning and then make yourself available and just do whatever's next that you want to do. And just spend the day going from one thing to the next and learn how to follow that intuitive voice. And I said, I try to live that way all the time. But I said, you have an opportunity that you don't have to, be a firefighter right now. You have to put out these fires, one fire after another. I said, just tell God you're available. And I said, and see what comes up to do and just learn to do. I said, try that for a day and see if you don't have a great day. Yeah. And but we can take some of these things that we have that are issues and maybe turn them into some opportunities. Rob?
So I'm going to try to put this spiritual thought together, so bear with me. I'm still waking up. Short attention span. I'm still resonating with Rabbi Jacobson's interview that Omar did with him. And there was a concept that I'm now seeing is something that I was taught before. I just didn't understand it. And that is that there is an illusion that we create on earthly wealth. And we tend to think that people are successful or have made it, and if by their bank account or their accomplishments. And the rabbi's point in this interview was that this COVID-19, this pandemic that we're in, has leveled the playing field. You could have 5 jets, one of the richest men in the world, but you really can't go anywhere now. None of it's been taken and stripped down to our commonality. And at the root and core, the premise is we're spiritual beings. And this is a spiritual life that we're in. And we've replaced this illusion of control, is how he put it, that we have control. And for me, I won't speak for us, for me, this illusion of control was at the core of my insanity. I thought I had to have control over everything. And then when I knew I didn't, I drank. So we use this control in our lives and power to establish our wealth or our insecurity. If we don't have the money, then we think that, we're not worth anything. But the point, and I'll try to bring this back, the point of this, I believe, of 77 is we give from our excess. And I think that is as much from our hearts and love as it is physical money. And we don't expect anything in return. And going back to the original lessons I learned, at one time, Jesus was asked, how do I get to heaven? What is the secret to getting to heaven? And he replied, sell everything you own and give it to the poor and follow me. And I think the point wasn't giving. I think the point was get rid of the illusion that you've got some kind of control over this thing and that you are somebody you're not based on this physicality. Because really what it's about is admitting that you don't have control, and at that point seeing that you didn't own anything in the first place. Everything you have is a gift. So from that point, we have nothing but a desire to give because it's not ours anyway. And I've heard this concept. It's really weird. This stuff is just bing, bing. These lights are coming on. It's like I've heard it literally 100 times. And I think the challenge here is to say, okay, now we got this leveling field of where people are starting to see this. And I think this is the time where we can take this movement and really start doing some great things. And anyway, that's all I got because I'm not a rabbi, so I'll be quiet.
The sage gives without relying on his own effort. He completes without waiting for reward. He illumines without stepping from the shadow. This is Jonathan Starr. Gives without relying on his own effort. That goes back to the pride and the ego and or the self-pity or any of those things. You're right. It's all a gift, Rob. That's the whole point, is that we're just giving away what we're given. It's what we're doing all the time. And that always points me to surrender. always, 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 and this teaches me when I'm stretched, it teaches me how to turn my will and my life over to the care of God. Because, like what we decided to do in the third step, turn our will and our life over to God's care. So everything we care about, letting God care about it instead of us. Letting God carry it instead of us. For me, that's the whole point of this entire thing, is do that with more parts of my life. And the way I know is when I'm being stretched and I feel stretched, there's something I'm caring about that I have got to surrender if I want relief. So that's good. Thank you. I was looking to see what notes I had. Why can he give expecting nothing in return, or why can he give with no end to his wealth? It's because he knows that it's not his abilities. All is a gift, even the abilities. No end because he's not the source. No end to love. That's what I had as a note to that. You got anything in Derek Lynn you want to talk about, Craig? Or did we cover what he has?
I think we covered most of what he says about having the balance.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Yeah, because that's what he's talking about, is what we've already, is that everything's in balance. That's where we need to get to, is that place of balance.
Yeah. I thought about pride when I was reading that. Having that balance of pride, just recognizing when we're getting to the stage of, I don't know the word for it, getting too much for people. You know what I mean? Just not being there for people, but at the same time not stepping over that line where you're making you're making an ass of yourself, or you're kind of imposing on people, and kind of trying to stay right sized with what you're doing.
Well, that's when we're using force.
Yeah.
That's when we're, not pulling from the center. When we're pulling from pride, or pulling from pity, or pulling with a hook. All those motives, all that shit that we add into this,
Yeah. What's my intentions behind it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Marla, do you have anything out of Wayne Dyer you would like to discuss?
Do I? I read through it last night late. I didn't underline anything because I liked it all. But he's kind of wordy on it. I'll read the verse, 77th verse. The way of heaven is like drawing a bow. The high is lowered, the low is raised. When it is surplus, it reduces. When it is deficient, it increases. The Tao of mankind is the opposite. It reduces the deficiency in order to add to the surplus. It strips the needy to serve those who have too much. Only the one who has the Tao offers his surplus to others. What man has more than enough and gives it to the world? Only the man of the Tao. The master can keep giving because there is no end to his wealth. He acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and does not think he's better than anyone else. So I'm going to go to the second paragraph. While at times natural events such as droughts, floods, hurricanes, windstorms, and I'm going to put plagues in there, can seem disastrous, they're actually maintaining balance. This is also clear in the lives of butterflies, flocks of geese, or herds of caribou and buffalo. The sport of killing upsets nature's system of dealing with surpluses. And the Tao agrees. When it is surplus, it reduces. When it's deficient, it increases. Observe nature, says Lao Tzu. If deficiencies exist, don't continue to reduce what's already in short supply. The lessons in these final verses, I can't believe we're getting to the end, relate to governing the masses by staying harmonized with the Tao. Lao Tzu seems to rail against people in positions of political power who took from the needy to give themselves more of what they didn't need. In today's world, we can see evidence of this practice in myriad ways, but especially in lawmakers voting themselves benefits to be paid for by everyone else. Oh boy, I'm not going to read the rest of that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Gonna get mad.
Well, I think we've got a more practical application.
Yeah.
I like this paragraph here. It's fairly simple to understand a surplus of money or possessions, but the world actually symbolizes much more. For example, there's the surplus of joy you feel that you can offer to yourself and your family. Then there's the excess of intellectual prowess, talent, compassion, health, strength, and kindness you can share with the world. Whenever you see deficiencies in joy, abundance, educational opportunities, perfect health, or sobriety, make your own surpluses available. Lao Tzu urges you to look at what's deficient and be an instrument of increasing, rather than a collector of more, which marginalizes and divides the oneness that is all of life. That's pretty much what I got out of his deal. Anything else in here you want to read, Marla, or are you good?
I do. Reduce surplus is a way of living for me. So just as a practicality, I'll read it.
Sure.
Reduce what's in excess in your life and then offer it where it can be utilized. Begin with your stuff, clothing, furniture, tools, equipment, etc. Clean your closet. Don't sell it. Rather, give it away if you can afford to. Don't ask for recognition for charitable acts. Simply behave in harmony with the Tao by reducing your surplus. Then think about your intangible abundance of health, joy, kindness, love, or inner peace, and seek ways to offer those glorious feelings to those who could benefit from your bounty, which was what the previous paragraph said.
Good stuff. Did you want to finish that?
So practicality, I don't know if this is funny or I don't know if this is practicing the Tao, but if I have a rule that if I buy, say, a pair of shoes, I have to give a pair of shoes away. But then I just realized that's not really surplus. That's replenishing.
Well, you're not collecting. I mean, it's
no, well, yeah.
in my wife's closet, But we have to look at our intention too, because there's nothing for us that makes a difference if we're doing that as a show or doing that as a way of, if our motive is still within ourselves, within the selfishness. The whole point is to get past that, is to let ourselves be stretched to the middle and get past all of that, get to a place we can really be used. Because I don't feel the joy that I feel when I'm being used, when I'm able to help someone, when I'm able to be this channel or this instrument that we're talking about. That's where the real peace and joy is. That's what we found. I know it's what I found in recovery. So, because we know that nothing helps us like intensive work with another alcoholic if we're talking about our alcoholic craving. Well, I found if I wanted to practice this in everything, I need to learn to give in every area of life. If I have a need, I need to find someone to help every time. There's never a time that my intention points back to me. My intention for me needs to point out. Even if I'm afraid, I find someone to pray for that's afraid. I don't even have to find them. I just have to say, okay, God, I'm afraid. Who can I help? And they show up. Like there was the May 9th daily reflection about person had, it was a fear of elevators and decided they were going to confront their fear. So they showed up at the elevator and there was a lady crouched in the corner that was afraid of elevators. And they went in the elevator and helped that person. Yeah. And they forgot about their fear because they were comforting someone else. And I think that's the way it's supposed to work all the time. That's getting to the center because they decided I'm going to confront my fear and God took care of the rest of it. And I think it can work that way with everything. And in that, they were able to give. Craig?
I'm sure at the end of that story, the person that went and helped the other one didn't go around bragging saying, I helped this other person, look at me.
No, not at all. No.
Yeah. I think that's what it's talking about doing the charitable acts, but don't go bragging on it. I'm sure there's
well, you're still doing it within yourself. If you're doing that, Craig, you're limited in your giving if that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
because you're the source of that.
I'm sure Jesus said a parable about that in the Bible. Don't tell the left hand what the right hand's doing. Sort of something similar to that. You know, why am I doing this? What's the intentions behind it? Is it to be genuinely genuine, or is it to be genuinely selfish and look at me, I'm doing this for everybody else, and you know what, you're just doing it for yourself. And that's where a lot of people struggle personally. Well, that's when I struggled coming into recovery. Is why was I doing it? You know, the first time round I was doing it for somebody else because the doctor says, you know, if you don't do it, then, you know, your family's not going to have you. Now I'm doing it for me. I'm having to be selfish. I'm having to look at why I'm doing things. I'm not doing this to turn around and say, look, you know, look at me. I'm so many days sober. Look, I'm just doing it one day at a time, and there's no ulterior motive for me doing this. I'm not going to get a massive windfall out of it. It's not like one of these live in a cabin for a year with no Wi-Fi for $5 million or something. It's, you know, I'm doing it for the right reason. The intention is solely selfish.
Well, we start moving from selfish to selfless.
Selfless. Yeah.
That's the movement for me in recovery.
Yeah.
Everything was selfish at first. I came to recovery for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
I came because I was losing everything and alcohol controlled my life. I was there for purely selfish reasons, absolutely selfish reasons. I walked into AA.
But look at the number of people that have benefited from what we've done.
Yeah. Well, we move towards selfless, and the way we can stay in that selfless place is knowing that all of this is a gift. If we start taking credit for this, if we start thinking we're the ones that are doing this in our life, then we move away from that center place where we can be used. And then the force starts happening and the tension, and we're not being used, and we can't, you know, and it starts, you know, that's the disturbance. You know, we read in the 12 and 12, it says that anytime I'm disturbed, invariably it's me that's the problem. I think that's where we're not in the center. When we're getting disturbed, we're out of balance. We're allowing something in us, some fear to control our lives, some character defect that we need to surrender and work the program on. So, yeah, I mean that's what I see in that. It's just another example of this balanced place we can be. That place in between the breaths, you know, in between. You know, we got the in breath and the out. The place of balance is right in the middle, where there's no push or pull, or like that place when you throw a ball in the air where it sits for just that fraction of a second before it starts to drop. You know, that place of ease.
Yeah.
That's the place that I think is that center place that it's talking about with the bow. That place, that Wu Wei, the place of balance, the effortless effort. It's still effort. It's just in an effortless way, and it's effortless in that it lacks our pride and our ego and our fear.
Do you know what
that's there? You know?
Me and my brother actually experienced that sort of thing simultaneously. Just be talking about the ball going up and just hanging, and you're kind of wondering what we're going. And I actually went through my granddad's greenhouse. That's really the first time I ever became aware of that little pause.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
That's good stuff.
You know, when I first started reading this, and it talked about the surplus of things, I automatically went to, which is why the Tao kind of tricks me sometimes when it.
Sometimes.
I usually get it. So sometimes I feel like it goes from spiritual to physical, and I have a hard time distinguishing where we're at. When I always want to believe it's always spiritual, because as soon as I start to think, oh, you mean if I have too many shoes and I need to give them away. But I like how it can be both, you know, but I like one or the other. I don't want vagueness. But that's why I say it's so tricky, because as soon as I think I have it figured out, but that's part of the lesson for me. And the word I kept thinking of was motive. And then Buddy said it about what is your motive? And that's what I always say, question your motive. it doesn't matter. Let's say I rob a bank. Well, is my motive to have more money, or is it to help the poor, or is it just because, my higher power wants me to, whatever. I have to check my motive. And when they say give away what you have a surplus of, I was trying to find where they talk when they said the Tao is endless, like the ocean. There is no surplus of that because it's always available. And so I looked at it as, do I have too much of this? It's like, how can you have too much of living that lifestyle? And so you always have it to give away. And I was really vibing with Marlo when she said about setting the boundaries. And I think to myself, that's huge for me. But then I think, if my motive for giving away is to control other people and to have these expectations and to receive love, then that's my motive. And yeah, I have to cut that off because there's unbalance there. But like I look at Mother Teresa and people that just gave endlessly because their motive was just the way of the Tao or the way of living. And so they never had too much. It was just always available. So why wouldn't you just keep giving water if you had an ocean full versus I have 7,000 gallons of water. I'm going to give some to, then I'm stressed. Who decides to get it?
Mm-hmm. I think for me, Tina, it goes back to we have plenty to give for what we're, our part is to give, if we have water to give, it's not that we need to give water to everybody we see. It's that I believe our higher power puts the people in front of us that we're to help. So the people that are there for us to help, we have plenty for them. And for some of us, it might be a lot of people, and some it might be one way, and others it might be different. But whatever that purpose is for us, then we have what we need for that purpose. That's how I look at it. So it's not that I need to go out and feed the world. I just need to feed the ones that are in front of me to feed, and know that that's my part of the body, and that someone else's part is to do something else, and me not feel bad. It would go back to that motive thing again of, oh, I need to do more. No, you don't. I don't need to do more. I just need to do what's in front of me to do. And that's my part. So that way it takes all of that fear of not doing enough or not being enough and the pride and ego of I'm doing all of this out of it. Back to those motives again, and back to, am I doing this within myself and my own power? And if I'm feeling weak and disturbed, there's something I'm trying to do within myself, or taking on responsibility or expectations, because it was talking about expectations in there. I'm expecting things that's not happening, or, all of that kind of stuff. It can go a million directions, But this is just learning to live in that ease, in that center place where we can be helped. Everything's a gift, and then we can be a help to everyone around us and be at peace with it. Yeah, that's good. Anything else? Everyone good? Okay. Well, don't be strangers during this. If you guys need anything, reach out, please. So, thanks. Y'all have a great week.
Hello, this is Buddy C. I wanted to make you aware of several recovery-related resources that I've posted in the episode description. These resources include a list of recovery podcasts, a free sober meditation app, daily recovery email, shared Google recovery calendars, and how to join the SRC and attend this meeting live. Hope you put some of these resources to use, and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share this podcast with your friends in recovery.